You ever notice how every election feels like ordering from the same restaurant, but the menu never changes? They just rename the same old dish. This year, try our fresh democracy burger. Yeah, same meat, new ketchup. Hamburger face, let's be honest. The people you see smiling in suits on TV, shaking hands, kissing babies, pretending to care, they're not the ones running the show. Nope, they're the mascots of the team. The real owners, you never see them. They don't do press conferences, they don't debate. 'Cause they don't have to. They already bought the stadium, the referees, and the scoreboard. Every few years we're told, you have the power. Vote. Sure. That's like being told you control the company, because you get to choose the color of the break room walls. Meanwhile, the CEO is out there signing deals that decide your lunch break. You ever sit back and watch politicians talk like they're in some kind of heroic movie? The music swells, the crowd cheers, and there they are, sleeves rolled up, pretending to be one of us, talking about other people. Every election season, they dust off that word like it's their favorite toy. The people, it sounds noble, doesn't it? Except, they're not talking about the people who can't afford rent or healthcare. They're talking about the people who can afford them. You know, the ones who sign the checks, fund the campaigns, and send the private jets. Those are their people. Everyone else is just background noise. You see, the whole show runs on strings. The kind of strings you don't see but can feel. Like when prices rise, jobs disappear, and the laws somehow always favor those already sitting on gold chairs. And while we're out here trying to make ends meet, they're up there shaking hands and smiling like they care. They don't. They're puppets on an expensive stage dressed in $3,000 suits, pretending to argue while their masters count the profits. The debates you see on TV? That's not a fight. That's theater. It's WWE with fancier language and less athleticism. They shout, point fingers, insult each other, and then behind the scenes, they share the same donors, same dinners, same vacation spots. They're enemies in public and partners in private. You can always tell who's really running the show by looking at who nobody ever criticizes. You ever notice that? They'll yell about their political rivals all day long, but they'll never mention the billionaires funding their campaigns or the corporations writing their policies. It's like a magician distracting you with one hand while the other steals your wallet. Look over here. We're fighting for justice. Meanwhile, someone's signing a backroom deal that sells your future at wholesale prices. They want you to think politics is a war between parties when it's really a partnership. They're two actors reading from the same script, written by people with real money. You've got one side saying, we're for the working class, and the other side saying, we're for business. But when it's time to make laws, somehow both sides vote for things that make the rich richer and the poor poorer. Isn't that funny? It's like watching two rival chefs argue over recipes while secretly eating from the same pot. The truth is, the puppets don't call the shots. The ones holding the strings do. Those strings, they're made of money. The kind of money that bends rules, writes laws, and decides what's important. When a billionaire whispers, politicians listen like it's the voice of God. But when a regular person yells about rent, inflation, or medical bills, suddenly there's no budget. It's not that they don't care. It's that they're not paid to care. Compassion doesn't show up on their payroll. They'll stand on stage, hand on heart, talking about sacrifice, about how they understand the struggle. Oh, really? Which struggle? Choosing between your yacht and your jet. They say things like, oh, we need to lift people out of poverty. They put them there. And every time they promise to fix it, they somehow end up building another tax break for the ones who caused it. It's not a system that's broken. It's a system that's working perfectly. Just not for you. You want to know how deep the strings go? Take a look at where these politicians go after they retire. They don't fade away into quiet life. No, they join the very companies they were regulating. Oh, look, the senator who used to chair the Energy Committee is now a consultant for an oil company. What a coincidence! It's a revolving door. Government to corporation, corporation to government. And the only thing spinning faster is the public's head trying to keep up. And it's not just money, it's control. They don't just buy influence, they buy silence. You'll never hear major politicians seriously challenge the system that feeds them. They'll criticize the excesses of capitalism, but never question the billionaires who own half the planet. Because those billionaires fund campaigns, own media outlets, and shape public opinion. If they wanted to, they could make the whole country believe that cats invented the internet. That's how much control they have. So, when a politician tells you they're fighting for you, ask yourself, are they fighting for you or are they fighting over you? Because to them, you're not a person, you're a resource. Your vote, your taxes, your attention. All things they can mine and sell. They don't care if you're happy, only if you're useful. Every speech is an advertisement, every handshake a transaction. And when election season ends, the people go back to work. And the puppets go back to their donors. Look closely at their promises, they always say the same things. We'll bring jobs back. We'll lower taxes, and we'll fix healthcare. Every election cycle, it's the same script with new actors. They've been promising to fix the same problems for decades. And somehow those problems keep getting worse. If a mechanic kept your car broken for 30 years, would you still keep bringing it to him? Yet, here we are, clapping for the same performance every 4 years, pretending something's going to change this time. The truth they'll never say out loud is that politics isn't about serving you, it's about managing you. Keeping you hopeful enough to believe, angry enough to argue, and busy enough to not notice that the real deals happen behind closed doors. You're not supposed to win. You're supposed to participate. It's a game designed to keep you distracted. And the puppets? They're the smiling face of that distraction, telling you everything's under control while the stage burns behind them. Every time they argue, the stock market listens more than the citizens do. Because investors know it doesn't matter who wins. Their interests are protected. One side promises reform, the other promises stability, and corporations fund both. That's the genius of the setup. No matter what happens, they win. It's like betting on both teams in a game and calling yourself a genius when one of them scores. They tell us that the people have spoken. Yeah, but the people's microphone is broken. The only voices that really get heard are the ones with billion-dollar speakers. When a regular person protests, they get ignored or tear-gassed. When a billionaire makes a phone call, they get a tax exemption written into law. You can call it democracy if you want, but it looks a lot more like a customer loyalty program for the rich. The funniest part, we still believe the show. We watch the debates like sports events, we pick sides, wear shirts, shout slogans like it's a moral battle between good and evil. It's not. It's a business deal wrapped in confetti. We think we're choosing leaders, but we're really choosing mascots. The same few corporations, lobbyists, and to think tanks write the policies no matter who's in office. The rest is just acting. Watch how fast they move when a billionaire needs a bailout, compared to how slow they move when the average person needs healthcare. Speed of light for corporations, speed of paperwork for everyone else. They tell you there's no money for schools, hospitals, or infrastructure. But there's always a few trillion lying around when Wall Street sneezes. It's like watching a magician pull money out of a hat, except the hat's your pocket. Even their fights are rehearsed. One side blames the other for ruining the country, the other side fires back, and the news plays it like a soap opera. Meanwhile, the people holding the strings are invisible, because they don't need your approval. They already bought the outcome. You think those campaign ads are paid for by $5 donations from kind citizens? No, they're funded by $1 million checks from people who expect something in return. When they finally do pass laws, who benefits? Not you. The tax cuts, the loopholes, the deregulations. They're designed to keep the wealthy comfortable and the rest of us too busy surviving to notice. That's not conspiracy. That's business. You don't spend millions funding politicians out of kindness. You do it for return on investment. And trust me, the return is massive. The politicians are the face of a machine that was built to keep power exactly where it is. They're the sales team. Their job is to make you believe that if you just vote harder, donate more, and stay patient, things will change. But the strings don't break that easily. They're made of gold, and gold doesn't snap. It shines. And that's why every smiling face you see on that stage looks confident. Because behind them in the shadows, the real bosses are smiling too. You ever notice the people who actually own everything never show up to shake your hand, smile for cameras, or promise you change? That's because they don't need to. They already got what they came for. The real power doesn't run for office. It buys the office, installs the furniture, and rents out the politicians to sit in it. The ones we see on TV, they're just the face of the franchise. The real owners are backstage, sipping champagne, counting profits, and deciding who gets to wear the suit next election. And they don't need your vote. They already own your choices. You can spot them if you look carefully, but most people don't. They hide behind company logos, foundations, think tanks, and billion-dollar philanthropic organizations that sound noble but operate like money laundries for influence. They're not called rulers. They're called investors. Not as lords, but as shareholders. Sounds nicer, doesn't it? But make no mistake, the function is the same. Kings used to own land, now they own data. Monarchs used to tax you directly, now they call it a fees and a subscriptions. The crown got smaller, but the control got smarter. You don't see them on ballots because ballots are for spectators. They don't need speeches, campaigns, or slogans. Why would they? When you already own the field, the referees, and both teams, you just sit back and collect the tickets. Every time there's an election, people argue about which side is better, red or blue, left or right. But those colors fade when you follow the money. The same corporations donate to both. That's not democracy. That's diversification. It's not a government. It's a portfolio. They're not trying to win votes. They're buying influence. That's the real game? You think laws are written by senators and representatives? No, those are just the actors reading the lines. The scripts come from lobbyists. The people paid by corporations to make sure the public interest always conveniently aligns with corporate interests. And every time a bill passes, you can bet there's a signature from someone you've never heard of making sure it does exactly what it's supposed to. Protect profit. You want to know how much power money really has? Look at how fast the world moves when billionaires want something versus when regular people do. Billionaires want a space program. Suddenly, there are rockets everywhere. Regular people want affordable health care? It's complicated. Billionaires want tax cuts. It's a national priority. Regular people want livable wages. We'll study it. If you ever feel like your government's ignoring you, it's not personal. You're just not on the payroll. They have a way of making everything sound patriotic. We believe in the free market, they say, as if it's a religion. But what they mean by a free is free from rules. Free to exploit, free to monopolize, free to outsource. They don't want a free market. They want a market that's free for them and expensive for everyone else. They don't compete. They consolidate. Every time a company gets too big to fail, it's not a victory for capitalism. It's a funeral for competition. And they've perfected the art of distraction. While they're lobbying for tax breaks, you're arguing online about celebrities. While they're buying politicians, you're watching debates that don't matter. They keep you busy, entertained, outraged, anything but focused. Because if you ever stop to really look at who benefits from all this chaos, you'd stop playing their game. That's why politics is sold like entertainment. Oh, it's not supposed to inform you. It's supposed to keep you cheering for your favorite actor. The real owners don't wear campaign bands. They wear cufflinks. They don't need the spotlight. They own the lighting company. They don't care who wins the argument, as long as the argument keeps you from noticing the deal happening in the background. Every political scandal you see is just surface noise. Smokescreen for the quiet power that never makes headlines. You can fire politicians, but you can't vote out the board of directors. They even use a charity as camouflage. Billionaires donate millions and call it a giving back. Giving back. Giving back. You can't give back what you never should have taken in the first place. They get tax breaks for their aid donations. They get their names on buildings, and they get to play savior. All while keeping the system that made people need saving in the first place. That's not generosity. That's strategy. And the irony, they make us thank them for it. They own the media that tells the stories the schools that teach the history, the apps that shape your thoughts. They've turned influence into an invisible currency, and they spend it like water. You think your opinions are yours, but half the time they're engineered. They don't need to censor you. They just flood you with so much nonsense that you can't tell what's real anymore. They don't hide the truth. They bury it under 10,000 headlines. The whole system is set up so you'll never look up the chain. You'll blame the politician, the other party, the voter who disagrees with you, but never the ones holding the leash. Because they've built the illusion that a power means holding office. It doesn't. Real power means owning the people who hold office. And once you realize that, the whole circus starts to make sense. You ever wonder why every law that's supposed to regulate big business somehow ends up benefiting big business? Because they wrote it that way. It's not corruption. It's efficiency. Why waste time bribing one politician at a time when you can write the rules yourself? They call it a policy influence. That's the polite word for control. And they're global now. Borders don't matter to them. They move their money through 10 countries before breakfast. They keep their assets offshore, their factories overseas, and their profits untaxed. Meanwhile, they tell you to buy local and you support the economy. Which economy? The one they gutted? They've managed to make nationalism profitable by outsourcing the nation. You can't fight them with votes because they already bought the counting machines. You can't fight them with protests because they own the media that covers them. You can't fight them with boycotts because they own all the brands. They don't even need to silence you anymore. They just give you more channels to scream into until your outrage runs out of battery. Even when someone brave enough tries to expose them, it doesn't matter. They control the narrative, sure. They own the platforms. A scandal comes out, stock prices dip for a day, and then boom, a new story drops about something shiny, and everyone forgets. They've built a world where attention is currency, and they control the mint. They make you feel like you're part of the process. Call your representative. Sure, you'll get a polite intern reading from a script, and a system designed to funnel your outrage into a recycling bin. Meanwhile, the real meetings happen in private clubs and private jets, where deals worth billions are made with handshakes and cigars. That's the real Congress, the one that doesn't have cameras. And the funniest part? They make you defend them. You'll find people arguing passionately for billionaires they'll never meet, for companies that would replace them with robots in a heartbeat, for politicians who couldn't pick them out of a lineup. That's how deep the illusion goes. They've made people believe that their masters are their heroes. You don't even need chains when the prisoners are proud to wear the uniform. They don't fear elections. They fund elections. They don't fear revolution. They own the media that covers them. They don't fear exposure. They sponsor the platforms that would expose them. That's the brilliance of it. They've turned control into convenience. You carry their tools in your pocket, scroll through their propaganda for fun, and give them your data willingly. Why rule by force when you can rule by addiction? And every once in a while, they let the puppets argue about something important. Just to remind you the show's still running. You get fired up, take sides, share hashtags, while they're quietly pushing another law through that gives them more control. You think the internet made you free? It just made surveillance more efficient. You think technology connected the world? It connected them to your wallet, your habits, and your thoughts. They're not evil geniuses in dark rooms, they're polite businessmen in conference halls. They smile, speak softly, and use words like innovation and a progress. But progress for who? Innovation for what? Every gadget, every convenience, every app that saves you time somehow ends up costing you more freedom. And the more connected you become, the more predictable you are, and predictable people are easy to control. They don't run for president, they run presidents. They don't campaign, they sponsor campaigns. They don't write laws, they order them. And we're too busy watching the show, clapping for our favorite actors, to notice the producers are the same every season. You think there's change because the faces change. But the policies, the profits, the priorities, they stay exactly where they've always been. In the hands of those who never needed your permission to rule. They've done a masterful job selling us the illusion of choice. Every election cycle, they roll out the same shiny